Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Simpiwe Butelezi. I'm actually one of the participating artists in this year's Triennale, but I'll be moderating this conversation with these amazing artists. By my side, I've got Godelive Kasangati from DRC. I've got Chiwas from Taiwan. I've got Helen Zero from Ethiopia, and Thierry Osu from Benin. And in this discussion, we're going to be speaking about the idea of Pobihes, which is a playhouse, or in this context of the Triennale, it's the spaces that we were occupying as we were making. The spaces that we were occupying became like playhouses with all these interchangeable elements inside that we were able to utilize to create our installations and artworks. And so in this discussion, we'll be talking about play, improvisation, and rehearsal. Play is about enjoyment and recreation. It is the space of imagination and wonder. Often, children enter it as a rehearsal, sometimes mimicking the world that they observe, and other times creating a world that they desire. They improvise their selfhood, drawing on resources available to them. Play is also political. It is about freedom. Always a question of whether the environment and its conditions are conducive for one to play. So how do we, as artists, use play as a rehearsal space, as a place of improvisation that allows them, no, how do artists use play as a rehearsal space, as a place of improvisation that allows them to imagine themselves into existence? And so I would like to pass the discussion down and start with Thierry Hosu. So Thierry, during your time in this Triennale, as you've been making your amazing work and your very expansive installation, which literally spans across the entire vineyard, can you please tell us more about how play, improvisation, and rehearsal became a part of the creative process in your time here? Okay.
Hello.
Okay, it's already on.
Hello. Okay. Thank you. My name is Thierry Rousseau from Benin, and I live in Amsterdam. I would like to thank to Kamisile to invite me for this Triennale. In my work, I play a lot. You know, if you see my drawing, it's like, for me, make drawing is just like rehearsing. But the thing I try to do, and is part of my work, is like to appropriate everything. So I try to appropriate land, I try to appropriate history, I try to appropriate what I can use to have my own signature. So from that, I don't know if the PowerPoint is...
Next slide.
Yes.
You just click it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I don't know
No,
if
my
it's
part.
one.
Next.
This one?
There we
Okay.
go. There we go.
No, it's not me.
Oh, this is yours.
It's me.
Next. Keep pressing.
I don't know, somebody can play with this thing. I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, yes, to my... okay, good.
Just keep pressing your part. Oh, sorry, guys.
Okay,
Yes.
this is cotton plantation. I have my own cotton plantation in Benin, but this is collaboration with like like more than 10 hectares of cotton plantation. So we have a huge contest because we're going to do this project in the UK to shape, to shape like uh, 30,000 of cotton, like 1 feet container to UK. So we are trying to do that right now. It's heavy to do it, but what we try to do is we don't have authorization to do it, so we try to say, okay, it's hard to do, but let go. It's like for this Triennale, I try to play with the vignette. Like I ask Kemsile, is possible to appropriate this vignette, and she said let, and then I put the flag of the worker. So outside you can see the flag. So I just appropriate that. But how this is also how I play. It is my work. It's not only conceptual work I made, but this is also work I try to do. I work on big size, like huge installation, and this is like you can play inside. You can try to find your own face, and also confront yourself. And yeah, so this is just. And this is the drawing. Like I said in the beginning, I draw a lot. You know, it's very relaxing for me to make drawing. But of course, uh, you know, means gallery will not come here to buy vignette, but they want to work with you, so they need civic thing. So I try to don't be in the corner of the painter, and so I play also a lot with that. And this is here, you can see the flag is there. It's just outside, you can see the flag is there, and you have this, this thing is the name of people. So please go outside, play, find the name of, you know, like great curator. There is here, you have the name of Gabi Ngobo, Cabello, Cabello what?
Kabelo Malachi.
Yes, Cabello Malachi. I didn't print all the name. You have the name of Koyo. Please play and try to find those names. That is how I want to invite you to play. So this is the vignette. So this is my work, and yeah, this is what I have to say.
All right. I'd like to pass it down to Helen Zero from Ethiopia. Helen, it's been amazing watching you grapple with the space that you've been working with, engaging with the environment and the materials that you've been working with. How meaningful has play and improvisation and rehearsal been to your process as you've been making work for the Triennale?
Thank you. I would like to start by saying my work usually starts from like a very personal experience and trying to touch up more relevant, wider social issues, especially in the circumstance in Addis Ababa. So I'm based in Addis Ababa. So this work was about city gentrification that was happening, like a really massive gentrification. Massive and aggressive gentrification that has been happening in Addis Ababa for the last 15 years. And as part of the city gentrification, of course, the quote-unquote the slum areas are being demolished, but also graveyards are being demolished. So, like to build a highway or a building and all that. And so, my mother passed away when I was really young, and we received a notification that says that we have to uproot the grave so that there was a highway that was being built. So I started documenting the whole process as a way of also dealing with like the really heavy situation that was happening. And so this is like a still image of a performance that I did in the same grave hall that she was buried in. There was two works, a really large drawing, so a whole installation. But for this project, when I was invited, I tried to put together two projects, which were like this older project, like a revisitation of this older project, and another project that's called Edder. So I tried to kind of see the connection between these two works because they actually do connect. So this is a still image from the performance that I did. And so in the revisitation, like the grave hole is designed through like the shape of this fetus, like the shape of being held, and that position. So the shape of the grave is dug, like the inspiration was that specific position. And the idder is like a voluntary-based community support system. So people in their areas, usually, it could be from the same religious background, or from most people, like Addis Ababa is like a very young city, and so most people have come from different parts of the region. So people would come together, and then they start meeting every month and contribute a small amount of money so in case of emergency, like burial, or somebody is very sick or are in trouble, the community come together to support that person. So I came to this project because I was part of an artist collective in Addis, where it was hard to sustain it after 6 years. We had a law where we were forced to register, and we didn't have any, there is no support, funding from the government. So, and we didn't sustain after 6 years. So my research is what are the things that we can take or adopt from this kind of indigenous ways of support system. Because they have objects like big pots, like the tent, place and all that, but also not about like a money. If somebody passed away in your family, that they would give you money, like they take care of everything, like all the process, feeding the people and all that, so that the person who is grieving could focus on their, emotion and processing their emotions. Yeah, actually, yesterday somebody from Zimbabwe, I forgot her name, was saying she was really touched because she was faced with her sister's death, but she was so busy in the first week to take care of people, pay for the funeral, pay for the cooking and all that. And she said after the third, fourth day that it really hit her, like that somebody has passed away. So I guess the play element came to play because before, like when I go to funerals, like with, I don't know, friends, family, I was always surprised that people would, they get together and they play cards. They try to make people laugh, they drink and they play. And I always like, oh, but we are in a grieving space. Like, it felt so strange for me. Now I'm understanding it, that's the play element for me, where I think because it's such a shocking moment that it gives you time to process the grief. So, yeah. These small booklets are, these other institutions are quite informal, but they have a very, I don't want to say formal, but like a very structured way of taking care. So they have these booklets where they register everybody's contribution, and the other have a larger file where they also register. So it's quite organized in a way. And like in my work, I'm also trying to see like this formal institution, what are the informal ways of dealing, like in the formal institutions, and what are the formal ways of dealing in the informal institutions. So kind of trying to play with that. Yeah, I don't know, I want to say something because in the grave earlier, I was talking to last time with Kenny Sile, and she mentioned something that really touched me because she was working with another artist who is also dealing with the 1930s law here, where it doesn't allow black people to own land. And the only time that you own land is actually when you are buried, And I guess in this case as well, even after you are buried, you're not really, owning space. I don't know, maybe with questions we can go further. So, thank you so much.
Dara, thank you. And now I will move it to Chiwas, an artist from Taiwan. I'm aware that, you know, there were some challenges with you in your production throughout the time that we've been here, but I'm very interested in learning and hearing from you how improvisation has showed up in your practice, how you embrace play, and how you embrace rehearsal as you engage with your process and your work. Yeah.
I also go by Anchi, and Jiwas is my tribal name. I'm from Atayal people in the central part of the Taiwan. First of all, I still want to be thankful for this opportunity for being in South Africa, because it's the first time for me to be here, and I learned so much from each of you, all the artists. And the colonization back home in Taiwan is really, we are dealing with different kind of colonization. Mostly with the latest one, it will be mostly like Japanese colonization. To respond to your question, I want to give a bit more context about my in the last 5 years of my work. I do performance, I do like computer stuff, like coding stuff, and also video work. I come across this oral story from my people about the story of Demahahoy. So Demahahoy is a oral story that I rarely come across from my people about a community, like a woman community, where they live in a deep mountain. There was no men in this community, but they could communicate with bees, and they could get pregnant by the wind going through their body, blah, blah, blah. And they also, I don't know if I should say, but they also collect fellas in the community, and kind of use these dry fellas as whenever they want to pressure themselves. So this oral story to me, the first encounter was from this elder that I was on the way back home trying to find out more about my community. And then that was the only time I encountered the story of Demahahoy, which is the story I just shared. And then I never heard about this story anymore from other places. So I started to look into more like, I have to rely on colonial paperwork from Japanese anthropologists to kind of trace this record. And then I found so many of the story about Demahahoy. But then I still feel like the story written by the anthropologist was very othering this space. So I decided to work with my language teacher, my adult language teacher, to see how we can rethink about, reimagine this story could be like in our own language. So it becomes more apparent to me that it's a queer community to me, and as a self-identified queer person and adult person, this story is very important to me because it bridges my identity very strongly from being a queer and being an adult person. So that's why I have this project. In the last 5 years, I have this project called Finding Pathways to Demahahoy. And the pray part is I've been creating these instruments with multiple mouthpieces, kind of rethinking about this wind that we talk about in the story to repregnate, like to regenerate ourselves. So I reimagine the wind as the breath to collect different, I see it like a Demahahoy diaspora to come together beyond, it doesn't matter which ethnicity you are, like if you're like identified as like woman and queer, you want to celebrate this space, this is I want any of you to join this performance with me. And the point is about listening. You know, to me, I don't want to use too many words to explain anything. I feel like the most intimate and direct is how we listen to each other. So that's the play part. So I've been like, yeah, that was my question to myself about this project. So that's the play part for me that I've been doing, that I've been working with different people to create soundscapes from these instruments I made. And so, so these are the two questions. How do I build my identity and my career identity, and how do I find the mahahoi in the contemporary time? And there's no, especially there's like no visual references at all for me to rely on. So I have to completely rely on my imagination and my embodied feeling with the space and with people. Yes. Just a little bit more context, like thinking about space. This instrument to me is very important. Again, going back to the land, because with the Japanese colonization, a lot of our mountains produce, we have a lot of camphor trees in our land, and camphor trees back in the time were being cut down a lot to sending them to Europe for as a fund for Imperial Japan to raise their military power. And the camphor tree was important back then for making weapon powder and making like a plastic and like film even. So a lot of the trees are gone, and when I think about this, and then we have this like the first high tech in Taiwan. It was actually this called yearn defense line. It's like a high voltage electricity bar wire system that plays across our mountains. And when you touch it, you get electrified. And so this is how this like colonial project Japan to kind of shrink our space and then to control our land. And so this instruments I play, is more like a guerrilla style of how do we create that space again beyond the physical. So this is the context I'm coming from. Thinking about technology, I can just quick. So I say this is a big project I've been doing, but with this time I will do a performance this coming Saturday. But the last 5 years I have been developed so many different like mini projects to kind of re-question how to, kind of just refine them, how to find them again. So I work with so different queer performers and women, and then also like video work. I also make cyberspace for to collect stories. So it's called My Language Me, and then I also make video work, and so I work with a Japanese dancer to have a conversation. So. So this is what I've been doing.
All right.
Thank you, Mahashimo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chiwas. And finally, I'll have Godelive Kasangati from DRC. Can you please tell us how you embrace play, improvisation, and rehearsal in your practice, more specifically throughout this time that we've been here, making work on site for this current triennale?
Hi everyone again. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I decided to have this lot of words in these slides because it's really important for me to discuss about the work that I produce here in relationship to my interest in reproduction. Because reproduction itself, it's one of the huge arguments in the art making, which could allow us, who allowed people to be sitting here or to challenge even if the idea of setup or the museums. So the first phrase is it's really interesting for me. The other become more necessary for me. And in artistry, all the time, when you talk about the other, is a really pejorative way. It's talking about the one who is not in the center. But the one who's in the center, sorry. and who at least, oh sorry, one is not in the center. But in this position, for me, the other is in the way of thinking about how this other propose an argument which is different from the one that have been proposed. And this one is not a way of complaining or saying bad, but this the other become more interesting in this position. And this idea of talking about the others came from my interest on pictures, because the picture itself, how it's given as a container where everything is static, so you have to look at it. But in this position of talking about the other, the picture becomes more dynamic. So the other of the picture, or the reproduction of the picture, which all the images that have been reproduced become the other because it has its own autonomy. And this autonomy is where things are challenged. And one of these things are challenged is not a way of referring to the original or the authentic, but is a way of imposing and affirming the auto-referential proposal. So if we can talk again about the reproduction distance, we can see how reproduction itself made the movement or the shift in the artward. So then the work or the intervention of the artist became volatile. So it's not anymore about museums or about how museums function, but this become more important because the pictures or the images will follow you in your house, or the music become more interesting and more collaborative. And this sense is not just about who understands the image or how this image come to you, but the more important is like how this image itself being reproduced, that moment or the time of reproduction became a process. And that process moved from the way that we think about image, which is like human-centered, but it became itself, a process to itself. So this image became more a body, or I can say. And for me, that position became an argument that object, sound, many things, smell, could become an image. So here, maybe we could not just talk about reproduction as a serial process. Maybe we can talk about it as a speculative way. Because when I talk about reproduction, I can maybe borrow for what Benjamin, he talks beautifully about it. He's talking about, normally it's not, he's not putting his emphasis on what I'm going to say, but something I find really interesting in his work. When he's talking about the serial reproduction, so where you don't have the copies, you have originals. And for me, it becomes so interesting to think about this, because when we are talking about the reproduction in this sense, one is speculative, moving from the picture and how the picture is reproduced, we don't have the serial reproduction anymore, we have more dynamic reproduction. And from here, we can move from picture to image. And when we are moving to image, so we have like a complex imagery. And this complex imagery, there's so many things that can happen. And one of the things that's interesting is an egalitarian proposal, which moved from the hegemony, and it proposed new way of looking at the picture, which proposed an image. And this image, it's already itself in its own right. This is one of the things I find interesting, because when we think about reproduction, it's like in a position of discussion. And when I'm talking about discussion, I'm talking about the discursive place. So this is not just about how we can think about reproduction as a process which is linear, but a process that is volatile again. So then here we can have like a space where anything can happen because it's a horizontal place. So this reproduction can come from, if you can talk about materiality, we can talk about the picture, or we can talk about sound, anything that can be reproduced. And for instance, in the installation that is here, we have put a copy of pheromone of dogs, which it's used to calm dogs. So when you're entering in the space, you will not feel it because it's beyond your dimension. So this pheromonial sense, it's itself as a reproduced object, and at the same time is beyond your presence. So it's challenging the space, because the space is not just for you to go in, but it's to stay inside. Thank you. And this last object is one of my interesting objects I came with. I bought it in Burkina Faso, no, in Gabon. It reminds me a lot about my childhood because I used to play with them. And also its relation to the industry of reproduction because it is a rectal design. So it mimics a bit the phones that were created between 90s and 2000. And they are built for kids to play with. And for me, it's become so interesting because it just moved from being a toy because it itself, as a reproduced image object, it opened a discursive arena where we can go over what it proposed itself. So in this sense, for me, I think reproduction itself, it carries a septral dimension, which challenge the future. So when you are talking about serial reproduction, you expect to see this toy maybe in another color or the same shape, but in the way that this object can function, it denies the future. And then because the future become more blur, so the future is not anymore spectral. And this dynamic between reproduction and object, it's not also materiality itself, but also how objects themselves present themselves in these different circumstances. And what is also interesting in this sense, this object, it's really playful. So I can invite anyone who wants to play with it to maybe to join here, or I can just bring it to you so then we can share the. Oops, I started already. Who would like to? Someone else would like to? Because I must have like to play with this, sorry. In improvisation movement, so you don't really expect yourself to click on the button. You're just
On any button, eh? Hello? No. Hello? Supposed to say. Hello? Hello? Oh. Hello? Oh. Ah. It says hello.
thank you. Thank you so much. So this is my last slide, and I think for me it works as a place for improvisation because you are looking for something that maybe you don't find, and it becomes at the same time a playful object, but at the same time it's a political object from the production itself, but also as an object which can be at the same time discussed at the same time as a materiality of the object, but what it can does. It can, yeah, it can does. It can do, no, it can do actually, sorry, my English. Thank you so much.
I'm quite fascinated by how each artist takes quite volatile topics and finds the playful aspect in it and kind of embraces that in their creative process or in their thinking. So I'd like to allow the audience to please ask any questions if you have any questions for any of the artists on this panel.
Yes, sorry to put you on the spot, but I was curious to hear about your practice just for a little bit.
I'm moderating though. Well, you said you want to hear about my practice. Yes. Okay. My moderating. But okay. My name is Simpiwe Butelezi. I'm an installation artist, and I work in different mediums, and yeah, multidisciplinary in my practice. I'm inspired by actively archiving artifacts from my own culture, from my own historical context, and introducing them into the current context, embracing ancient technology and spirituality, and merging it with the technologies of today. I like to merge nature and man-made elements to create immersive spaces where people can contemplate themselves and each other. Yeah, that's me. Does anyone have any questions for the artists?
Well, thank you all for an inspiring medley. I'd love to hear more about how each of you, or those of you who choose to share, what it means for you as an understanding of play. I love the work of Ellen Disayanake, who speaks of art as our way of, and play as our way of coming to know, and how through the practice of our own bodies in relation to space, in relation to matter, we become human beings. So play is not just something to play with or play about, it's actually a biological way of becoming human. So I'd just love to hear a bit more about how you deepen into what play is, culturally, archaeologically, biologically, genetically. Thank you.
And would you like an answer from each artist or a specific artist?
Okay. For me, play is common in my work. I play a lot because when we start to play, we directly start to talk about the politics. We directly start to talk about how we going to the law, how we going to be reproduction, or how we going to be. We play a lot, but how this can impact our work. Like for me, I grow a cotton, but I start to grow cotton like conceptual art. Like I bought the 4 hectares of land 2018, and then I was just there because I want to produce cotton. But why I want to produce cotton? I want just to play, but to play for what? but to play for what? To play to talk about economy. To play to talk about labors. To play to talk about how heavy is it to use ethnographic object to contemporary art. I start from that because one of my projects was Impossible is Nothing was a replica of the king chair. I put on the ground and asked archaeologic students to find out, but the place itself, it's archaeology's place. So they didn't know it was something in the ground. But when we start to dig, they found out it was the king chair. So they said, oh, this is not, this was a huge political problem for me, but the university was like, okay, you cannot do that because this is archaeology. And then I said also, but I'm also contemporary artist, I'm allowed to do it. But of course, so this work was shown in many museums and it gets very big audience now and collected by Central Museum in Utrecht. I'm very happy for the end. About this project, yeah, this project is about the tree. You know, I asked to buy the tree and plant this tree in museum in Netherlands. But when you are there, you can sit and read your own poetry. So you go there to play. So the tree is not there yet, but it's a museum in the south of Netherlands. So now the tree is like that. It's just like my side, and that every day is new story. So people go there, they can see, they can you can play in your own way, and each season the tree change color. So I'm documenting all these what we say the process to grow, to make artist book, or take the seed from Netherlands and go to another country to reprint. But in the same time, playing in my work is try to make happen what I cannot do, because I was in Japan. I have to ship cotton from Benin to Japan, but I need authorization from the government to ship. But I didn't get this authorization. So what I did is I put some cotton in my suitcase, and then I travel with this cotton so when I was in the airport, they said, okay, what is this? I said, oh, it's cotton. But before to do that, I tried to show 5 cotton in my own from my own cotton plantation, transport these from the countryside, from the city, to show in art gallery. The picture is not here yet. So from this, when I was in the airport, I said, no, this is my art. But they said, no, but you know that you are not allowed to ship the cotton. But I said, no, this is just a small amount of cotton. And from that, I was in Japan and I worked with a local farmer to grow cotton. But when I was in Japan, I want to take Japanese cotton to Benin. They said, no, you are not allowed to bring the Japanese cotton seed. So what I did is like, okay, now I'm going to do something. If you can give me 5 grams of Japanese cotton, it's good. They say, yeah, 5 grams is okay. But what are you going to do with that? I say, I'm going to grow this. So I take 5 grams of Japanese cotton, put in all my pockets, and I have 2 suitcases, put one by one in my pocket, and bring it to Amsterdam, collecting them together and taking to Benin. And now I have like 10 grams of Japanese cotton. It's not white cotton, but it's green cotton. So this is also how I try to, this is project I did in Amsterdam, just about reclaiming the water, because in Amsterdam they are always reclaiming the thing. And then I met this woman, and I like to take picture, because it's like a comment for me just when I'm in the place, so people work it 2%. And then I go to the lady to say, okay, what are you doing here? And she said, I'm driver. And what are you going to do with my picture? I say, okay, I'm preparing an exhibition and I'm going to draw, I'm going to make your to do your portrait. And she was in the exhibition space and she was laughing. I said, I didn't look like that, but it's how I saw you. So this is also how I play. So, yeah, so here, so I play with this, like yeah, I invite people just to walk through the vignette because I don't know if people know how the vignette works. Because I realize you need authorization before to go to see the wine farm. So you need authorization to go to the plantation. So I talked to Kemi Sile. I'm going to struggling with this. Please ask me authorization to use this vignette to show people how is the wine plantation. But this is to show people how this. So to bring people to me, I have to find the concept to, for people to work. So I write the concept before to be here. Like, okay, I'm going to name each line of vignette. Say, okay, I will put the green name, but I have to make the focus on the blue workers. Like even it's not blue worker, people who clean, people who work on the street, people I know, and put also the famous people like people I one time shared a hair like President of Republic, King from Netherlands. So, but for now, I didn't put the name of the king because I didn't get authorization. Because I don't know how to get, but I put the name of the president of Benin. I put the name of Koyo. I put the name of Gabi Ngobo, Kabelo, Kemiside, and the name also for all of partner of this Triennale. So this is how I try to play, and you can walk and see, how this. Yeah. So I don't know if I answer your question, but this is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it was amazing to, hello. And it was amazing to kind of watch your commitment to highlighting the amount of labor that goes into the production of wine in these farmlands. I think in one of the days, I saw his step count, and it was like 21,000 steps that he walked in a single day, just walking through and marking all these points with these laborers' names or these workers' names. So to highlight the presence of the human effort that goes into the production of wine, it's quite amazing. Yeah, would someone else like to answer the same question? Oh, okay.
Oh, go this.
Yes, please.
Oh, wow. Could you help to go back? I will go back just to answer the question. And the way I see play is I never say any of my, I never perceive any of my project as finished. So you could see like there's so many like mini ones keep popping up, and I just never think seeing one work finish. I don't know. I don't want to have my work fall into the realm of product. So, yeah. And then for me, this play also come with labor. I think for me, laboring my body is a way of finding sense of belonging. Just kind of thinking about like how my people in the past, how community people help each other building houses together as a community, and that process of laboring is like, it's a process of building that sense of belonging to me. So for me, like praying is also laboring and to create that belonging. Yes.
Does anyone else have another question? What do you want to answer? Okay, this is a good question.
I really think like it's an interesting question because I think play propose a viscosity because it's stuck to each entity. So play cannot be defined because each entity have its proposal of play. So it cannot be, my perspective cannot be defined because at the same time it's more paradoxal because of its viscosity.
Oh, we've got another question. Okay.
Hi, Helen. The question is for you. I'm really interested in grief and play. And so I was interested to hear about the tradition that you have where people will come to a funeral and they'll play cards and because we have a tradition of play in funerals as well, and comedy even. And I know that's quite distinct from Western funerals. Can you go into play and grief a little more, please?
Thank you.
Okay. I can say also my express when like things that I remember fragment of things when I was very young because I was like 6, 7 years old. For instance, for me, once a person passed away, like when they build the tent, you will sleep in the tent for like a week. So people don't sleep in their bed, like they take out their mattress and you sleep in the tent, especially the grieving family. But also everybody in the community also comes with them. So the like uncles also come and stay and sleep in the tent. So for me, when I remember as a kid, it was very strange because then we have to sleep there, but then also people are coming. So in a way, because also it was mothers, that were around, that people I know, aunts, uncles, that it created a sense of safety, that's it was warm and like you're there day and night, you are eating there, you're playing there, drinking, whatever. So it's I can see now that how it could be a support, and I don't know what else I can say. Is it enough? Yeah, yeah. I think that's what. If I can think of something else, I can say it.
Do we have another question?
So I had to ask a question because I've been watching you all work for a week straight and you're speaking about play and rehearsal, but I think the main question that I have is about improvisation. How did the idea of having to finish your work, start your work, complete your work, everything on the site, having to improvise, affect what you originally had planned versus what you have now? And did that actually add to the concept at the end of the day, as well as what we see out there? Everyone can answer that, it'd be great.
Because I wanted to say about the question about play in regards to that, because I think it works with every artist. Like when you have an idea or a concept and you can imagine it or you can envision it or how it will look like. But then because we have received images, of the locations, and we could choose where we want to show our work and we propose our projects. But of course, when you are physically here on the ground, it's quite different, because you have to get a sense of like a feeling of the space and like the materials. Also, I think we spend so much time together, like the discussions, everything kind of fits into how you work, how you process, and how I think of the outcome. The challenges, including the challenges, because then you have to create a solution. I think that also plays into the creative process. Because also resource-wise, like because you're limited, you don't know the place, you don't know the people. So I think that challenge kind of contributes to the work, which in an interesting way, I would say. The same with the play, I guess, the interaction with the space and the soil, the sound. So for me, it was very interesting, and I think the whole 10 days, because it was a continuous negotiation, continuous discussion. So I learned a lot actually from everybody's work, everybody's process, and how they think, how they engage with the material and all that.
I can definitely relate to what Helen is saying. I think I had my own challenges that led me to almost the point of crying. I was working in a very confined space, and there was constant changes along the way, So we had to have a strong sense of adaptability and to communicate well with the teams on site. And be patient with ourselves and others. It really was a healthy space of collaboration and, like improvisation. And it really did feel like a rehearsal at times. You're also grappling with, difference. This is a very diverse group of people, and communication became an important factor, making sure that we're all okay, we're all on our sides, we all have what we need in order to make the project a success. Yeah, it was really challenging.
Yeah. I want to answer this question because for me, my work is always like in progress. Like this cotton plantation, I started 2018, but I'm still doing, the project was in Japan, it was in the UK, and it was in Netherlands, it was in Ljubljana, and it will go back again to Ljubljana, so it's in progress. Even this vineyard, yeah, for now, I'm satisfied about it, it's finished, but it's not finished because I have to document all names to make the artist book. So this is, but I'm very happy about it because the Triennale allow me to work on this way. So it's not commercial work. I would say, okay, this is not, you have to go to the gallery or to the museum, but it's always in progress. So, and I like to work on this way also.
So because my program is in the embodied intervention program, not in the current, so I don't have a specific like site part. So I think, yeah, I still have that flexibility to kind of mow around my space. So for me, it's I'm rehearsing. I'm still rehearsing with that. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a small anecdote. Actually, it's really a funny story. And in response to your question, I think it was 2 days when I was installing the work. So after installing, I realized that the plastic rubber or sheet was dirty. Then I didn't have anything to sweep with. Then I was wondering what I'm going to do. And I remembered that I have my underwear. So I just removed my underwear, put it in water, and I swept it. And after I threw it away, then I was, oops, sorry.
It's great.
Then I was like, okay, we are improvising. Let me improvise with this one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Mike was there, because I called him to see the work, and I told him, don't look behind. I'm removing my underwear.
Thank you very much, all of you, for producing such entertaining work because it's about play. And I hope our audience has really enjoyed what you're trying to play and how you are playing with your work. There was a question from that gentleman. I want to further read. Do you in any way feel that the work you've made here can go and live in another place, at home, in your own space, at home, where there are your own people? Do you think it can do that? And would it be accepted? Can you explain it? Would it be understood? Would it be enjoyed? I don't know, anyone who can, yes, because that seems to be a concern that we are making. I'm an artist myself, that we are making work for certain audiences. And that always, when I hear it, I'm thinking,
yeah.
Ask me.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that question.
Okay, I think this question is especially to me because the work I make here is really illustration of what I saw. I don't think if we can grow great in Benin, but no.
Cotton, not bread, but maize.
Yes. Yeah, we grow maize, we grow cotton. So, yes, like this picture, when I started to grow cotton in Benin, nobody was, it was not really accepted like, okay, you will show the own cotton like art. But now people know that, okay, this artist is working like that. But when I'm here, I work with vinet. So this have just the link from cotton to the vinet. But inside, I have also like the mirror room, but the politic of the seed. It's like when you have something, even it's very small thing, is how are you going to, to use this thing. It's like when you put one seed on the ground, the seed will grow, and then you will have many trees later. So yeah, it's easier to grow the seed, but it's not easier to bring the smell, the wine smell from the factory to the exhibition. So this is what I did. When you directly go to the mirror room, you smell the wine. So this is the concept. But to bring the smell in Benin, I think everybody wants to smell the wine. So it will be really accepted. And then when I will document this vignette and make it my artist book, everybody wants to have it. So I think for me it's easier because I'm not out frame of my concept. I'm in, and then it starts from there to here, so they will accept it. Even it's wine, everybody wants to drink wine, I think.
Okay. For me, it's because for me, it was very interesting here, or anywhere, I guess, in the continent, because we had so much in common, or so many things that we share. I think, let's say, to explain about Idr, if I were somewhere else outside of the continent, the energy that it would take to explain about myself or my work, and here, because I think one way or another, people share similar things, whether it's about displacement of the mind, I'm sure gentrification. It happens everywhere in the world, of course, but I think the most topic that the artists are raising, I think we don't have to, spend so much energy to understand each other. That's what I saw, because whatever I say about the editor, everybody connects, let's say, from my project, as also Thierry said. Yeah, I think it's even easier, to communicate with each other, to understand each other, because we share so much. I think there's so many commonalities, I would say. From what my experience, even the guests that were coming, and is discussing with everybody.
Can you do the same project
in Ethiopia?
Not in the city center, but within the community where you come from?
Yeah. I would say
yes.
so. Because the first project I actually did, yeah, I mean, it was a bit complicated because a graveyard is very sacred place, so I actually faced a lot of problem, even in the exhibition. People were, some people were really emotional, but some people really called even the radio station saying, we want her to be on the radio because we want to ask questions, because so many people thought that it's a very private and sacred thing that I was touching. But of course, the context is also very different, to put it in an art space and in a gallery or whatever. So I did face a lot of challenges at that moment, but I understand, because it's quite intimate and heavy.
Heavy.
Yeah. But yeah, of course, with the understanding, I think everybody would understand. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. My work is hard to be in the community because it's directly challenging the heteronormativity. But because I have this motto, which is my ceramics instrument, I started to have the young queer people coming from my community or from different community coming to me, and then we started to make our own space physically outside of the community. But I think they understand what I'm doing, and then I think as time goes, this work can slowly go back. Yes, and this is something I found very beautiful, because when they join the performance, we play, we make soundtracks, we're going to make albums from the samples, from the instruments. They are also being encouraged to be artists. So this is kind of like, I feel like I'm making this, community, like the Mahawa community, slowly to go back. And that's something I feel lately quite strongly, that younger people who live in the community is trying to bring me back, but at the same time, I'm still also be careful like how to gauge with that. Yes.
Go to leave.
I think the question of distribution is really interesting. I think I've been thinking about it since 2021 when I started thinking about performance as a tool. Because I realized that the question of the public itself became more complicated, because in anyhow, a work itself doesn't impose itself in the place, as because we always maybe talk about the idea of sharing, but the idea of sharing itself is not saying that I'm thinking about this one, I'm going to propose to you, you can say no. So I think that place itself for me, it's become a hot place. But in anyhow, I sometimes deal with my work in just producing work. And when I'm producing work, I'm done, I'll invite my friends who have known the works already, who will be helping me to mount the work, and we mount it together, then we come again to see the work. Then we have drink, and that's all. And I will not try to wait for an institution. I'll take all the money I have to build the work, even if it costs thousands of dollars. I'll take that money, put it inside, not for galleries to come, not for institutions, but I think it's so interesting to see how we can communicate as friends, because the research doesn't start from the point that I'm thinking about the work, but when the work itself is happening. Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I think I do what I do in order for my own community to value the remnants of our heritage more. I make it a point to use objects and artifacts that aren't that valued, you know, and I try to kind of highlight their significance in the contemporary art space. I specifically use reed mats, you know. They're commonly found everywhere, quite affordable. There are different versions of them depending on, you know, who makes it or where, what types of reeds are used to make them. And this very simplistic object that's, you know, domestic, but also used by healers and diviners. But I think in my work and my interventions, I try to give them a new context and use them to almost amplify the concepts that I work with in my work. I want to increase them in value. I want to present them in these spaces so that our perception of their value shifts and changes. They are being archived differently, you know. The type of weaving that goes into how they're made is also highlighted and preserved, you know. Living in times of kind of hyperproduction, you know, there are new versions of these reed mats that are being made in China. You know, there are new versions of these reed mats being made in China, which are much less of a quality. The type of reed that is used to make them is not even, you know, the authentic way that we make them ourselves. So it started to kind of press on me to really find the true reed mats that are made by those women, source those mats and highlight them in my work. So yeah, I want my community to embrace this more.
Sorry, I'm imagining your work in the Karoo.
In the Karoo?
In the Karoo.
Oh,
your
okay.
work all of a sudden. I don't know South Africa very well. I haven't. My friends, my South African friends, are not very hospitable. They haven't taken me anywhere beyond Stellenbosch and Cape Town and the wine farms. So I'm imagining your work that you did somewhere in the Karoo. They speak a lot about the Karoo and Eastern Cape, somewhere where people walk to go to the river, and all of a sudden there is your work. What would happen? And they know the mats. What do you think? What would be their response? Because I think it's the question they're posing. You know, making work, how does it, the reception of the work, the audience, the exhibition of that work, and you're using objects that they're familiar with. And then we have these discussions of repatriation, the galleries are making so much noise about the work stored there, but we have work that is being done now. Yes.
How will they perceive the work?
At home, at your home.
At home. I hope. I hope. I have hope. I hope that they will be able to see themselves in a new context. I hope that they will see that their culture, their identities are ever evolving. You know, they will see us differently, and that will inspire us to innovate. I hope that they will see that we are still shaping culture right now, and we can make a decision to make our culture and our cultural artifacts more visible in contemporary culture. We can make that decision to make it more visible. We can make the decision to innovate who we are and what we are, right? Yeah, I hope. I'm just the moderator.
And it was your question already.
I just wanted to respond to that intervention and to that response, which is that I think the power of the objects, how they animate our relationship to our own selfhood, our own sovereignty, but also our relational sovereignty, i.e. where we come from, our ancestors, our environments. So just to share that at the end of this extraordinary gathering that we did at the museum today, which was to take PhD students and MA students around the gallery with a beautiful introduction, well actually not an introduction, an interaction with Tigire, was that at the end we then came back into the studio where we have at the annex at the museum, which we're calling the breathing space, where people can come and join us and just decompress and share what they felt, share their experiences. So there were 40 of us in the room. And one of the women said at the end, Zimbabwean said, in fact, there was many reflections that in seeing these objects, people felt they were coming home. And also the Zimbabwean woman said, I feel that you've made me look, by coming to this exhibition, I've been able to look and ask myself the question, who am I? That's the power of those works. Thank you.
Conclusion. Is it time to conclude? Okay. Okay.
So whenever you're ready.
All right. Okay. All right. So to conclude, I'd like to thank all the artists. All the artists involved in this panel. It's been amazing witnessing your work come to life in this space. It's been amazing to build the new relationships and hopefully new relationships and friendships. Hopefully that will continue into the future. It's been awesome to learn about your cultures and your backgrounds in a very challenging context, and hopefully more programs like this can be started, where we are really encouraged to challenge ourselves and to not come in this kind of like perfect, premeditated way, but to really create together and be challenged together. So thank you to the team. Thank you to the indigenous people of Stellenbosch. Thank you to all the interns, all the people who assisted us in this process. Thank you to the curator, Kayisi Lembongwa, for selecting us all to be part of this. Yes, so thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.